Good morning. It's the last day of the Stitchalong. Hi guys, how are you? You all right? I went on a little bit early by 1 minute today. Oh, she said thanks to insomnia, I get to join a live. Hi George, it's the last day today. Sad today's the last day. There will be another one, don't worry. It won't be too long from now, but I haven't drawn the pattern out yet. So we'll see what I can come up with. But today is going to be details day. So I'm just going to show a couple little ways that you can add some more details to your piece that really make it a little bit more interesting. Do you know what I mean? Like take it one more step a little bit farther, you know? So I'm going to start with this big leaf here. A couple people yesterday in their stories said that it's like really, really big and it's the color that they used is like quite dark. And I like to have some darker shades around the outside like this that kind of almost make like a little cup like that, you know, and frame it really nicely. And then a couple dark things in the middle as well, just to like, you know, sporadically sprinkle them around. So one of the things that you can do is if you used a dark color for this and you think it's too dark, or if you, got an itch. Or if you use the light color and you think it's too light, which means that it's too light on this side and too dark on this side, then you can always use a different color thread to accent a little bit. So I like to do it by just putting one little straight stitch BB just in the middle. Not all the way, but just about 3/4 of the way down. I've got all 6 strands. You can do 1 or 2 or 3 lines. Good morning. So it just gives it a little bit of like a break in all of that darkness, you know? Good morning. I'm just gonna jump around here. So these are nice if you just need a little something else. Do you know what I mean? Makes it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more detail. Obviously, some places it won't, I wouldn't recommend putting more details. Like in the house, there's already so many that it'd be a little bit silly to add more and more and more and more because you can get too many details. But for some places, just a little extra color or a little extra thing can help. So this one will go all the way here, if I can find the right spot. Greetings. Is that from Turkey? Greetings from Turkey. Oh, let's see what I've done here. I've gone through the outside fabric again. So there we go. Just a little something extra to make it look a little bit different. So I've actually put my fabric like this so that I can see the flower, so that you can see the flower, because we're going to add some more details here as well. So it is Details Day. Obviously for the centers of your flowers, you can do French knots, you could do straight stitches or satin stitches across the middle. It's all just depends on what you want. Am I in your way, Jessie? I've got a rug underneath my feet so that I can stand for longer, you know? And Jessie likes to sit and lay on the rug, so I'm always like in really weird positions trying to avoid stepping on her. And now she's just looked at me like, you are in my way. Can you please move? Please move. So I'm just going to take a little orange color. And again, do just a couple straight stitches in here. Sometimes it's all you need. It's just a little something extra, just to make it look a little bit, you know. Oh, we have 2 people from Turkey here. Good morning. Sorry, I'm shaking it all over. Oh. What's going on? So yeah, I'll do about 15 minutes of this, and then the last bit will be about how to finish your hoop, and then some ideas on how to display them. Good morning. So for the details, I quite like playing around with different numbers of threads. This is 3 strands. You can get much finer lines. So if you wanted to really fill this with almost like stripes, you could do something like that. You can outline these flowers using the stem stitch. Mary says, I don't want to finish. Yeah, it's like so bittersweet because, so this is where I normally start crying, because I start thinking about all the stitches that you guys have learned. Some of you have never done this before, ever. But most importantly, like so many of you are so proud of what you made, and I can just tell in your posts and the videos that you take of your projects and like all your stitches that you learned. I can just tell that like y'all are so proud of yourselves, and like that is what makes me like tear up the most, because it's like the best feeling ever to be able to like teach someone something, and then they be so proud of themselves, you know. It's just, aw, Crystal says this has been my favorite stitch along ever. Thank you. And for those of you who haven't been here long, or if this is your first stitch along, there's a lot of other stitch alongs in the shop. So if you're looking for something else to do, like between the time that I announce the next stitch along, it'll probably be, I really wanted to start one on June 1st, but that's going to be way too soon. So maybe the second week of June. We'll see. Cross grain fabrics. Oh, that's me. I've always wanted to do embroidery. You've opened up a whole new world. Yeah, the bicycle pattern is in the shop now. Crystal says, I really want to do the bicycle one next. Yeah, so that was the very first stitch along we ever did. So the bike is in the shop. Yeah, what else? There's the June stitch along. I showed them all in my stories yesterday. I might go grab the hoops and show again, just in case anybody wants something else to do, you know. Obviously there's the 2 new kits if you wanted a kit, but that, depending on where you are, they might take a little while to get there. Do you know what? I've been saving the big flower fight. Elle says, I've been watching the big flower fight on Netflix as background noise for stitching. Very thematic. Yeah, I've been saving it because my mother-in-law is back for 2 weeks. So, like, super long story, but So she's back, and I think that she'd really like it. So I was like, oh, I really want to watch it. But I think she'd really enjoy it because she's quite into like gardens and flowers and stuff. Veronica says, fab, we'll just find something else to do at 10 until your next one starts. And then Melanie says, I've really enjoyed all the Stitchalongs you've hosted. I think you've done almost all of them, Melanie. If not all of them, actually. But yeah, like all the ones that we've done so far are all in the shop. And if you know of one that I've shown you that you don't see there, just let me know, because Etsy makes you put like a number in, like how many there are. And sometimes people normally I just put 10. So it's all to do with the Etsy algorithm, you know. And so if it's sold out, then it's not really sold out. It's just that Etsy doesn't have the number, you know. I just need to put another number in. Melanie says yes, and I had to fight my mother to keep them for myself. You guys are so sweet. Sarah Loves Sewing says, this is my first stitch along. I'm definitely coming back for another one. I've really enjoyed it. Oh, I'm so glad. So after this, I need to make the Google survey live. It's just an anonymous survey unless you want to add your name at the end. It's totally up to you. So yeah, that's whatever. And it just asks like about the videos, like if there's something better I could do. Obviously I'll keep putting them on YouTube. I think it's easier than putting them on IGTV. And you know what, the more I thought about it, they might take it away, you know, IGTV. So I'm a little bit hesitant to do like, put a lot of effort into that. I have been saving them there just so that you guys can watch them. Oh, birthday. Happy birthday, Crystal. Tomorrow. Any hits for the next Stitchalong's theme? No, because I don't know yet. I want to make something a little bit different, so not a house. Yeah, so I don't know. I'll ask the question in the survey, and you guys can tell me what you'd like. I know I asked a couple days ago in stories and just said, like, what patterns do you guys want to see and stuff. And it's already, like, almost the end of May, which means that I need to start thinking about Christmas. Isn't that ridiculous? I have to get all of my Christmas designs and, like, ideas out now and finished. Oh, so silly. Susanna says, what about a sentence? So we did do a quote for the Christmas one. So that one was quite fun. Some people really liked the quotes, and some people really did not like it. So that's fun. I mean, obviously you can't please everyone, but it's nice to like have the option, you know, like you can put the text in or you can leave the text out. So that's why a lot of my patterns have like an empty spot in the middle, so that if you don't want to put the text in, or if you want to change the text to something else, then you can do that. Now, I was going to show you two other stitches, but now that I'm looking at it, I don't actually see where I could put them. So I think it's just going to have to wait until the next one. So yeah. Ooh, Sarah says, what about seaside or coastal themed? That's a good shout. When you said that, or when you typed that, all I can think of is like those little houses that are all colorful in Cornwall, you know, by the beach, and they're like a bunch of different colors, and they're just like super simple little houses. I think I need to make a pattern of that because I think it would be so cute. Maybe not for a stitch along because like we've already done a house. I don't want y'all to get like housed out. A jungle theme, beach huts. Yeah, you know, like in Cornwall or like in Devon, they have them, like by the sea. We have them in Portugal. Oh, let's see if I can get it. One more. One more, please. Yeah. In Aveiro, fisherman houses. That's cute. Yeah, I've never been inside of them, so I don't know like what they look like, the ones in Cornwall or Devon. But they're normally like by the sea, like on a beach, and then, I don't know. They're all different colors. They're like pretty popular little places. Or do you mean maybe like Tobermory in Mull? I don't know where that is. I'm like the worst person when it comes to like places. But I don't know, a jungle theme could be really cool because you could do like little animals like hiding in the jungle, almost like the jungle ladies, the garden ladies, but make it a bit more like jungle themed. But we would need a lot of greens. So maybe that. The only problem with doing these stitch-alongs and finding themes is finding things that, because of how things are at the moment, with like getting materials and supplies, threads, things like that, it's really hard to find threads. I'd love an Aussie beach complete with surfboards. That would be fun. These are really good ideas for just patterns in general, to be fair. So looks like I'll have to start drawing. Okay, I'm just going to add some little pistol stitches here. And if you remember, I showed you how to do them on the French knot day, and it's just an elongated French knot. So over here I did some French knots. I ran out of that color, so I'm going to have to find it again. But we can do some pistol stitches over here. So it's just all these kinds of details that really bring it together, you know? And obviously you can do too much. So a lot of people say, how do you know when to stop? Like, how do you know when enough is enough? Like, how many details do you have to do, you know? And I think that's just up to you. I think you know for yourself and for your own pattern, like when you're happy with it. And obviously if there's like a spot that's like giving you troubles, or you just look at it and you think, ugh, I don't like that. Now is the time to take it out and do it so that you're happy with it. So these are just little pistol stitches, and they look almost like a little like pollen things coming out, you know? Just like that. And a lot of it is layers too. So like the more layers that you put in, and the more, again, the details, there's just another little layer, just a little something else that, you know, that you can put in there. I need to stop wearing oversized shirts because they keep falling onto the tables. Yeah, so it's just the little things that really, really make a difference. Obviously, I still have more work to do. I have to fill in, because I did the stepping stones this morning. So I have to fill in these leaves. I have to fill in these ones here, this one here, and then the centers of these. And then after that, I like to just zoom out and have a nice look. So either put it on like a counter away, put up on a bookshelf, just hang it up somewhere so you can step back a bit. I'm doing my hands, of course you can't see. So you can like step back a bit and just think, is there any space that's like overly empty? Like up close, this right here looks, you know, like I could add something there, or even in between here, or in between here. So you just have to see. This almost looks like I've not done this leaf all the way, doesn't it? Because it's curved like that. So you just have to step back and have a look and see if you need to add anything. Sometimes it's just another color. So adding maybe some more of these buds, but like over down here to make it look a bit more full, or using the darker threads around here as well. But again, it's up to you. It's going to hang in your house. You have to be happy with it. So if you're happy with it like this, then leave it, that's totally up to you. Totally fine. Okay. Totally fine. So yeah, I'm going to show you how to finish your hoop. I'm not going to show you on this one because I still have work to do. I did try to get up early this morning and finish it, but obviously I didn't. Totally fine. I'm making those with little flowers. I think it's going to be like a little flower, like that. It's going to say, I'm totally fine. I think it'd be so cute. Okay, so this is what it should look like. You should have some extra fabric around. Just real quick, I'm going to go over what some people like to do, okay? And then I'll show you what I do. So some people like to cut their fabric, or like so they tighten it all the way. Yeah, you have to tighten it all the way around. Obviously, blow dry away any of these lines. You can see that I didn't actually follow the guide on a lot of places. So there's there. Most of them are all right when you look up really close. I still have to outline those two, I've just noticed. So you want to hit it with a blow dryer. If you're going to iron it, I would put another piece of cloth over top, because even though that these are all cotton threads, sometimes they get a bit of a shine to them and it almost looks melted, but it's not melted. It just gets a bit shiny. It's hard to describe unless you actually do it. And I don't want you to do it because it doesn't look nice. So put a piece of cloth over top, even just like a dish towel. And then you can hit it with an iron. I like to blow dry the front of mine, flip it over and blow dry the back as well. And it seems to do a good job. If you have dark fabrics, so if you have like someone's used a light blue color and you used this Pilot Heat Erasable Frixion pen, then it will leave like a white ghost mark, okay? These can get out. Some people use like rubbing alcohol, but I know in England, y'all just don't sell it here. It's just not a thing. But I found that if you just get a little bit of water, so if it's a spot, just a spot, you should be fine. But if you get a little bit of water and just rub around it like that, and then leave it to dry naturally, meaning like don't blow dry it dry, like trying to be quick, just let it dry naturally. That seems to work to remove those white marks. So it just depends on where you are and what method, works best for you. If you used a pencil and you didn't cover up your lines, there's really nothing I can do for you. You can try and erase them, but a lot of times it leaves that like eraser mark, like smears it around a little bit. So if you used a pencil, I would actually go back and try to do an outline on that item and make it so you can't see those extra lines. If you used a water pen, meaning that it erases with water, then you need to take this fabric out of the hoop, completely out of the hoop, and you need to wash it out. I would use cold water, always cold water with embroidery threads, because sometimes they bleed, especially the dark colors like red or black. They're easy to bleed, even if they're DMC, even if they're anchor. Sometimes they bleed and sometimes they don't. I don't know why. I'm assuming it's something to do with the dye and setting process, but I found some do and some don't, and there's no discrimination. So meaning like some skeins will bleed and some skeins will not bleed. Nothing to do with brands, just literally some of them do and some of them don't. So cold water, and you're going to want to take your fabric out and completely submerge it and give it a little shake like this with your hands, just to like really get it out of there. I've used spray bottles before, so you take it out of the fabric, take the fabric out of the hoop, and then spray it with a spray bottle. Sometimes that does work if you've just got a little bit showing, but on the whole, you really need to saturate the whole fabric and get it all nice and wet and get all of that marker off of there. So those are the 3 most common ways to take off the marks. What some people like to do is you tighten it all the way around, make it nice and tight, yeah, and give the screw one more turn. If you don't have a screwdriver here, you can just use a piece of cloth. So I often use like the end of my shirt like this and put it over the thing and really turn that. And even just now, I've gotten like 2 or 3 more turns just by doing it that way. So you really want to make this nice and tight because this is how you're going to display your hoop. I'll talk about other ways in a minute. So yeah, if you're going to leave it in the hoop, you want to do that. Some people will then cut this really, really short, like to there, and then glue it and fold it in like that all the way around. So they'll be cutting off all of this fabric here. Okay, some people will do that, glue it, and then on the back, take a piece of cardboard or cardstock even, and cut the circle out. So you just trace the outside edge, cut a circle out, and then they glue it on the back. So actually you don't see any of this. Yeah, so imagine this was all in like this, all in like that. And then they've got a piece of cardstock over the back of it completely. So the back is completely flat and you can just see the front. What are some other ways? Some people will do the way that I'm going to show you, but then they'll do one step further and they'll cut a piece of felt. So trace the circle on a piece of felt, yeah, and then do the blanket stitch to stitch the felt into this outside edge right here. And that way you have a piece of felt over the back. What other ways? I think that's pretty much it. That's all the ways that I know of. What I like to do is probably the easiest. But the way that's cute. I do like that way, but it is a lot of work. So what I like to do is I do a running stitch all the way around the outside, all the way to here, and I pull the 2 ends. I'm going to show you how to do it in just a minute. Pull the 2 ends, and that's basically it. You tie a knot, and it all gets cinched in like that. And the reason I do it this way is because if I ever wanted to take it out of here and use this hoop for something else, or take this embroidery and put it in a frame, or take this embroidery and make it into a pillow, or do something else with this piece of art that I've just made, then I can. If you glue the edges like this, you're never going to be able to get this piece of fabric out of this hoop with enough extra fabric to do something else with it. So I'm quite indecisive, so that's why I like to do it this way. Also, if you need to take the fabric out of it, so say it's on a bookshelf or in your kitchen or something, and it falls down and it gets a bit of dirt on it, if it's glued to here, you're really limited with what you can do to take that dirt or that stain off. Where if you just cinch it around the back, then you can take it out and, again, submerge it in water, put some shout on it, and rinse it all out so that it's not stuck on there. So I'll stop talking and I'll show you. So I've got this smaller one here that I'm going to show you what to do. Usually I would use pinking shears to cut all the way around. And pinking shears, they're little scissors, well, they're big scissors, but they have a zigzag edge to it. And the zigzag edge helps it to not fray. So you can see, I finished this one. It's a kit. It's also a pattern. Check the shop. As you're working with it, you'll get these little frays. And if you use the pinking shear scissors, they're not over there. They're also way too dull. So they're like from 1960. But if you use the pinking shear scissors, then your fabric will be less likely to fray. So there's a top tip. So what I like to do, I have to go find the scissors because it looks like someone has moved them. So what I like to do is find like the shortest point. So on mine, it would be here because there's a little bit taken out, you know, and you're just going to cut around, and I'm just guessing. We just want to give this a really nice edge. And again, I'm not trying to measure from here to there to try and mark it and make it all the same. It doesn't matter, okay? It's on the back. So you just want to guess. And I find that if I turn the embroidery as I'm scissoring, I can get a nice round edge. Okay, so this is what we've got. Is it perfect? No. Will it work? Yes. So the next part is you can take any color thread. I like just plain white embroidery thread. My fabric is white, so you won't be able to see the knot, whereas if I used a black thread around there, you might be able to see it through the back. So let me just grab some of that. That's the nice white. I want the bulk cheap white. Okay, so here's what we do. Again, this is not scientific. There's no like, if your hoop is 5 inches, make your string this long. No, I'm not about that life. We go like this. Lay your white thread all the way around until they just overlap a little bit and cut it. See? There you go. All right. So now you're going to thread your needle. Sometimes I like to use a big long needle for this, like that one, because you can get more stitches on there. Whereas this short one, you can only do so many before you run out of space on your needle, and I'll show you what I mean. So I just use a short little tail, no knot on the end, okay? No knot. And what we're gonna do, I should say, if you have any of this blue crap on there, kill me now. It's the worst, okay? It's so bad. So they put the blue stuff on before they actually put this piece, like heat attached to this piece. So if you have one of these, take your tweezers, and you're gonna have to pull all that off. And I would suggest doing that before you do the back, because once it's all nice and tight, you really want to leave it like that. That actually came off a lot easier than it normally does. Yeah, the blue stuff, oh my God, I've tried everything. I even thought about setting it on fire just to like see if it would go away, but the tweezers really work. Also, if you have a crap needle, so a needle that you're like not going to use to actually stitch with, you can take, this one's actually not sharp enough, but you can take the needle, right? And you can put it along the edge like that, and it actually will like cut the blue like that. Yeah. Then you can take the tweezers and pull it off a little bit better. Okay, back in business. So again, we've tightened this up. Yeah, we're all tight. Everything's tight. Yeah, we're all tight. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take your needle, hold your hoop and your fabric like this, okay? And just about here, that's how far away from the edge. You don't want it too close, because when we pull them, you don't want to pull the thread through the threads of your fabric, because it could pull straight out, okay? And we're just going to do a running stitch. So running stitches like this, in, out, in, out, in, out. And this is what I mean by the longer your needle, the more you're going to fit on your needle. Okay? In, out, all the way, oops, as far as you can, okay, and pull. Now, don't pull all the way, or you're just going to undo all of the work that you've just done. Yeah? And then continue. So this is a 5-inch hoop, This is probably one of my least favorite tasks. That and like re-hooping the fabric after I've already hooped it. So that's why I say like my lazy transfer design is cutting out, printing it out and cutting it, putting it behind, because I just really don't want to take my fabric out and put it back in again. Now, if it's a really, really, really detailed design, like someone's handwriting or something like that, then I will, just because you really want that to be perfect. But for this, it will work. So obviously we have to go around the entire edge. This is the boring part of the tutorial. Okay, I'm about halfway. It is absolutely blowing out. Now you can tell I'm really not making my stitches like really even. So satisfying when you pull it through, Kim. You're so right. I was just thinking that. But you don't have to make them really even. I'm just going in and out, in and out. This is just a regular running stitch. I know yesterday I said I would come on and do some like easy peasy tutorials to save to IGTV and to save to YouTube for like a beginner series. I've already done some, but they're just a bit boring. So I might come back on today. Kim says every time I do, I'm like, yes, in my head. Okay, so this is where you get to the tricky part. You want to end up on the end about 1 stitch away, okay, but coming out. You can't end with it going in. So sometimes you have to do like one short little, ow. Will you just stop? Stop playing around. So you might have to do like one little stitch to make it end up in the right place. Okay? So this is what we have. We've got our 2 pieces of thread hanging out, one at the beginning, one at the end, and it's just one thread. It goes all the way around, okay? And what you're going to do is just pull them. Okay, so all I did was just make like the beginning of a knot, like when you're tying your shoes, you know, and just pull them, and that cinches it up nice and tight. You do not want to pull too tight or else these threads will snap. Okay, I'll say it again. Don't pull it too tight or the threads will snap. So what you need to do is, normally I would have David come and just put his finger there, but you can do it without as well. Okay, I'm just going to tighten it up a little bit. Don't pull it too tight or the threads will snap. So satisfying when you pulled it. Okay, and then I like to do a couple knots at the end just so that I know that it's not going to go anywhere. Obviously, we've already tightened up the hoop. We've tightened up the fabric on the end. So this right here should be nice and tight. There should be, do you hear it? A drum. So at the very, very end, you can do a couple things. I do mine with just a little bow in the back. Pull it a little smaller. You can do like a double knot bow if you wanted to make sure that like the strings don't come undone. Don't play with me, I'm almost finished. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, and then obviously the last thing is to just cut them. I've been using these scissors for packing for 5 years or 6 years. They're so gross now. I really need to like take something and try and clean them off. So there you go. And sometimes I'll just stick those inside the loop, you know? So that's what it looks like on the back. Some people, they like to cover up their work in the middle. like completely covered up, like they don't like people seeing that part. I quite like that part, especially on bigger hoops, because obviously if I cut this right here to the shortest part, it would be about there. Okay, so you can still see some of the work on the inside. Some people really don't like that because they think that it's a little bit unfinished, or that other people will think it's unfinished. I don't feel that way, but that's just me. Obviously, you can do it however you want to do it. If you want to take a piece of cardstock and stick it on the top. Some people will cut a piece of cardboard that's just the inner ring. Just the inner ring, what's it, radius? Circle size, okay, yeah, technical term. Okay, and then they just push that in there like that so that it stays, or then you don't see through it. So the only problem with this, I'm gonna like lift you up for a minute, so don't freak out. And yeah, I have to push my table all the way to the front. The only problem with this is when you put it in front of a window, okay? Rubbing alcohol, we don't have rubbing alcohol here. They don't sell it in England, period. So my mother-in-law is a pharmacist, and she actually asked me to bring some back from America. And I didn't because they said you're not allowed to have rubbing alcohol in your carry-on, or yeah, in your checked luggage. So yeah, the only bad part is that it the light goes through if you wanted to hang it like in front of a window or something. But the way to get around that is you have to take your fabric out of the hoop and put another piece of fabric behind it, and then you have two pieces of fabric. So you have the one that you've just stitched on in the hoop, and also you're going to hoop it with another piece of fabric, and that fabric will cover this part right here. Yeah, so I hope that makes sense. Ooh, hairspray works for sticky stuff. I'll try that on those scissors. Okay, so that's what it is. What you can do from here to hang it, you can put a nail on the wall. This is not a nail, okay? But you can put a nail on the wall and then just hang your embroidery from this little hole here, okay? The other thing you can do, I think I threw away my twine, but if you've got a piece of ribbon or twine, you can put it through this hole and hang it so there's actually like a straight line, you know, that hangs up. You can put them on door knobs. You can get one of those over the door hangers with a little hook, you know, that goes over the top of the door like that. And you can put it up like that on there. You can hang it on a bookshelf. You can do all kinds of things with it. You can take the fabric, I'm gonna give you guys like whiplash today. You take the fabric out and you can cut it into a shape and make like a little flag out of it. I know I've showed it before, but here I've made and sold these in the past, and they're always really popular. So this was just a pattern sample. Obviously you can see the circle from where I got it wet and the wood bled on it a little bit. So there's that. And I've just sewn it together. So you can make it into a little banner if you want to. You can do all kinds of things with these. So it just depends on what you feel like and what you want to do. All right. So I'm pretty sure that that's it for me. I just want to say again, I'm so proud of each and every one of you. You have no idea. And I just want to say a huge thank you. Like, thank you so much for doing these stitch-alongs with me. Like, you really can't do a stitch-along by yourself. And you guys make it feel like such a lovely little community, all always cheering each other on, always being like supportive and always being there for me, and you know, just by showing up and being you. So I just want to say a huge thank you for all of your support and likes and comments and sharing with your friends and getting your friends involved to come and stitch with us. Honestly, it's my favorite thing. So I'll stop there before I start crying. So I'll be back soon. Don't worry. Yeah. So I guess until next time, that's it for me. I'll have the survey up soon. There'll be a swipe up link and then you can go and fill it out. Obviously, I'm always looking for ways to make these better for you. So don't feel like you have to be like, oh yeah, everything's great. And then later I'd be like, oh my God, she's so annoying. Like, you can write it in the survey. I promise I won't cry that much. But yeah, like, please be honest and let me know if there's any ways that you can think of to make it better, or anything I can change, do better for you. So yeah, it seems like you guys have enjoyed it, and I hope I see you next time. So for the last time this stitch along, be sure to like and tag so I can share, and thank you so much. Bye.